the Narrative Podcast with Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is changing the narrative one episode at a time.
Welcome. Welcome to another edition of the Narrative Podcast. And I am your host, Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is the original people home, or is the home of original people, and original people peace, original people reciprocity, and original people culture. Welcome to the Narrative Podcast. So had a whole lot going on this week already. So it's Thursday. Yesterday was hump day. We made it over the hump. Weekend's right around that corner. This year's already flying by. It seems like we just shifted gears out of February. First week of March, which was my born day. Yay me. But yeah, here we are, getting into it. So, first of all, I want to say welcome to the Narrative Podcast. Welcome my narrators. My narrators are my target listening audience, by people that tune in regularly every time I broadcast. So they already know what the Narrative Podcast is all about and what my format consists of. But for those unfamiliar with me and my podcast, allow me to bring you up to speed. I'm going to walk you through all the nuances of the Narrative Podcast before diving into the content this evening. But before that, just want to acknowledge a loss. Before that, give this person a moment of silence. So we just lost somebody really big in our community, in the entertainment industry anyways. American Idol and celebrity voice coach to the stars, singer extraordinaire Deborah Bird passed away on March 5th, and her resume is like very extensive, too extensive for me to list all her accolades and fit it into my format. I would spend like 15, close to 10 minutes just, going over like everything she's been a part of in Hollywood, and just like from like the 90s. So she will be very missed. She helped open up a lot of doors for entertainers. Her work speaks for itself. You can do your own Googles. But yeah, so lost really good talents. I'm going to give her a moment of silence, send out the love, light, and healing energy to friends, family, associates, and all those that knew her, worked with her, and was in her area. I know this is a devastating loss for them, so Narrative Podcast, sending out deepest condolences and, support in this egregious time. All right, Sister Westwell, and now to walk you through the new people tuning in this evening, walk you through the Narrative Podcast experience. So Starting at the top, Tippy, the name, the Narrative Podcast. I named my podcast the Narrative Podcast because I don't like the false narrative that the media weaves about original people and original people culture. So what I want to do is I want to design a platform where I'm playing up our strengths and highlighting our successes and celebrating all our accomplishments as a people, because we're vilified in the media. The media, cranks out, propagates negative stereotypes and stigmas about our people and our culture. So what I wanted to do is to design a platform to counter that. And thus the Narrative Podcast is born. So basically what I do here on this platform is, show our people in a positive light and encourage, bring awareness and encourage listeners to do the same on their platforms, to responsibly utilize their platforms to share stories about our people and our culture. Which is a perfect segue for my tagline. The Narrative Podcast, changing the narrative one episode at a time by destroying negative stereotypes about original people and original culture. How do I destroy the negative stereotypes about our people and our culture? By providing positive frames of reference about our people and our culture. And that's entirely what the Narrative Podcast is all about. That's what I'm bringing to the table. Positive frames of references about our people and our culture, because the media only, distributes negative frames of reference about our people and our culture. They primarily do it for profit, to make money, of course, the almighty dollar. But then also the media is, ran by the powers that be. Who are the powers that be? The higher echelon, elite society, the elite class, first class, AKA wealthy white people. Like, there's no easy way to say it. They basically they turn the wheels in society, not just here in America, but abroad as well. They do that. They manipulate the media to reinforce this image of themselves that they're trying to sell the rest of the world. They're trying to portray themselves as, sophisticated, high class, high in intelligence, refined, cultured, and the way they, try to keep this persona going is by making everyone else appear just the opposite when compared to them. So they do it to everybody. They warp everybody's images and likenesses. They try to make everybody seem, degenerate compared next to them. But out of everybody, they do it to our people the most. And the reason why they do it to our people the most is because they fear our people the most. And why are they so afraid of our people? Because they know our history, and they also know their history. They know how they came into power, how they acquired their financial wealth, how they acquired all their systemic power. And, we represent their biggest fear, because they know they wouldn't be anything without us. Without us, there wouldn't be a them. And so we represent them having their power usurped, because their biggest fear is that one day we would start behaving like we remember our past collectively as a people. Like some of us, like most of us, are starting to wake up or become woke, as they now say. The phrase is being woke. They're afraid that all of us will, wake up, and then once we all fully awakened, we would band together as a people and reclaim everything that they took from us, and do to them what they've done and what they're currently doing to our people. So basically, they don't want their power usurped. That's why they're, spreading all this negativity. It's basically like psychological warfare. They're warping the minds of the masses, and they're psychologically messing with us as a people, affecting our self-esteem, the way we view ourselves. We're normalizing things within our culture that shouldn't be normal. And that's the way they want it. So, yeah, that's why I basically designed this platform, the Narrator Podcast, is to counter what the media ran by the powers that be are doing to our people. Which brings me to my next point. On my platform, I call my target listening audience my narrators. The reason why I call them my narrators, because we're living in a digital information age, which means, we have a unique way of sharing information now. Everything's done online. You can basically tell or narrate your own stories. We're living in a digital information age. People equate you as an individual based on, your carbon footprint or the story that you're telling or narrating about yourself online. And what do I mean by that? What you're posting, your content, whatever you're posting online. That's how people gauge you as an individual these days. Your ideas, your belief systems, your value systems, your upbringing, your culture, your morals, your hobbies, your interests. This is, basically universally across the board how people interpret you as an individual based on, what type of story that you're telling online. It's kind of a double-edged sword, because on the one hand, if you're like a person that don't take life too serious, and you post a meme like, you have 1,000 people running to your page. Well, what's wrong? If you want to talk about it, I'm here for you, And it's not even like that. It might have just been something funny, but sadly, that's the world we live in nowadays. But that's why I call my target listening audience my narrators. We live in the unique era where we're able to tell or narrate our own stories, our own bio, if you will. We walk around with these little computers in our pockets or wherever you store your device. So why not use it responsibly and project a positive image about yourself? That's very important for us as a people, because like I said, people are judging you as an individual based on whatever you're posting online. And which brings me to my next point, even though the media is ran by a horrible, wicked entity with a horrible, wicked agenda, how they govern and run the media, though, is basically business. And the first rule of business is supply and demand. Now, when it comes to our people, unfortunately, we have had the product of degeneracy marketed to us and sold to us in bulk. And unfortunately, we take the bait as a people. How do these Fortune 500 companies create product? They go online, they do their statistical research, they view your stats, they view what you're posting online, they view the algorithm, what you're clicking on online, and then they'll go and manufacture products to accommodate, the need, the supply and demand. And so when it comes to our people, we're saying to corporate America, we want degeneracy. Because this would explain how we're portrayed in the media. This would explain, all these subpar television shows, movies, books, magazines, music, radio programs, using our images and our likenesses in a negative way. Because, the media, they want to promote gun culture, they want to promote drug culture, pimp culture, whore culture, gangbang culture, drug culture on the dealing end and on the using end. And they want to, sell it to our people. They want to market us as, a degenerate type people. This is what we're into. This is what we like. This is how we want to be represented. And they keep on cranking out more and more degeneracy, and we keep on consuming the degeneracy. So this is why I call my target audience my narrators, because, as a people, we can change the narrative just simply by controlling the content that we're posting online. It's not the end-all, be-all solution, but it is a solution. Like I said, even though the media is ran by a wicked entity, they monitor trends and they monitor, the algorithm, what people's interests are. So if we, as a people, start exhibiting and displaying, what we're interested in, the way we want to be represented, which is like, we want to be represented as entrepreneurs. We want to be represented as, people with good, strong, moral, family values. We want to be represented as people that are divested in our community, giving back, doing for ourselves, doing for our children, doing for our elderly, doing for the less fortunate, providing opportunities. That's how we should, as a people by now, want to be, perceived as, So that should be like the target thing we should be striving for as a people. Now, what this podcast is not about, it's not about caring about, what people outside of our culture think about our people and our culture. It's not seeking validation from people outside of our culture. This platform is just basically dedicated to telling our story the correct way. And what is the correct way to tell our story? Tell it from the perspective of who we truly are as a people, and who are we truly as a people. We're kings and queens, gods and goddesses of the universe, not thugs, not criminals, not whores, not thoughts, not pimps, not pushers, not junkies. We kings and queens, gods and goddesses, and that's, where we need to keep the focus at. So, said all that to say, we can't control what people outside of our culture think about us. All they're given to gauge us is these negative frames of reference that the media provides them with, which I already said they do it intentionally, and I already said why they do it. But so it's up to all of us as a people to, put out the positive frames of reference. This is why I call my target audience my narrators, so, we can all collectively take up the mission to put out positive frames of reference about our people and our culture. That's entirely, what my podcast is dedicated towards, is to put out positive frames of reference about our people and our culture. So, yeah. Next order of business. On my platform, I refer to our people as original people as opposed to black. The reason why I do that is because, I feel I know that's a more historically accurate way to describe our people. So that's why I refer to our people as original people. It's historically accurate, and then it also unifies us as a people. So what do I mean by historically accurate? Historically, we were and are the original people of this planet. We was here about 5,000 years before every single other being on this planet. Before anything was, we was. And contrary to all unpopular belief, we did not evolve from primates. We didn't evolve from monkeys. We was already fully sentient. We was already standing fully erect, possessing high intelligence, building things with advanced tools, having advanced weapons. Wasn't nothing prehistoric about us. Wasn't dwelling in caves. Wouldn't have no, sloping posture, no cranial overbite. Wasn't covered in hair. That was another group of people. That wasn't us. Also, a false narrative that, they keep on perpetuating about our people is that they want to try to, put out this false narrative that our civilization began with the slave trade. And that's just not true. Like I said, we was building highly advanced societies. We inhabited every single corner of the globe. We was already indigenously located in pretty much, every corner of the globe all over the world, especially here in the Americas. And we didn't get to all these places, contrary to all unpopular belief, we didn't get to all them places via slave boats. We was already located in pretty much everywhere in the world. So that's what I mean by original people. So while slavery did play a part in our history, it played a very large part in our history. It's just a big lie about our contribution to the slave trade, as far as us being involved with it, how long it went on, how many generations it actually went on, far as them actually going to the continent, getting people and bringing them to different parts of the world. That's just a big misconception. And definitely our involvement with it, because they always want to bring that up. Well, black people, they owned slaves too, and they helped slave traders, but our involvement in it was less than 10 years. It didn't go on for hundreds of years. And as far as us owning slaves, there was a lot of tribes in Africa that waged war on each other, and ours was more like a prisoner of war type situation and indentured servitude. That's what was going on there. Anyway, I kind of went far off putting. So the second part of it, why I refer to our people as original people on here is, like I said, we inhabited every single corner of the globe. So, there's many different types of us, hailing from different land masses, speaking different languages, believing in different religions, spiritual practices. We're just different as a people. We got all these differences that divide us as a people, but the one, thing that we all have in common as a people, we can all trace our lineage back to the original point of origin for all civilization on this planet. That's how we're binding together. That's how we're linked together. We was here first. That's our common thread that we have, that we all share that lineage of us originally being here first. So that's why I try to encourage my listeners to, refer to themselves as original people. It's not a requirement. You can call yourself whatever you like. If you're comfortable with calling yourself black, go ahead and call yourself black. If you're comfortable with calling yourself African American, go ahead and call yourself African American. If you're comfortable calling yourself a Negro, go ahead and call yourself a Negro. But here on the Narrator Podcast, I refer to our people as original people. So next thing is, this is a time-sensitive platform. I try not to exceed 1 hour per broadcast. The reason why I do that is to, thoroughly engage my listeners. This is an audio platform. I want to cover a lot of topics. And the last thing I want to do is go on a rant. I don't want to prattle on. I don't want to, shoot over anybody's head. And I definitely don't want to bore my listening audience to sleep. I want to keep the content fresh and innovative. Want to keep everybody attentive and entertained and, eager to listen to where I'm going with next. So the best way to do that is to basically keep it concise, keep it simple, and make it very forward, straight to the point. And so that's basically why I try not to exceed over 1 hour per broadcast, because I don't want to just, I don't want to bore you to death, and I don't want to just ramble on and rant. Like a lot of podcasts, that's what they do. They just go on like glorified rants. They don't really have a method to their madness. They're like legit just talking. And so I would like to think I have an actual purpose behind what I'm doing. I've been doing it for a while, so a whole lot of people, they feel my purpose too, because they keep on tuning in, listening. So, I'm not doing it for nothing. Next order of business is, told you guys about the time limit. The Narrator podcast is a positive space. I don't engage in gossip or slander or the denigration of our people in any way, shape, or form. I actually try to discourage against that because I feel like gossip is tearing down our people, is destroying us as a people. Like the media has incentivized us turning on each other. They want to put out this image like that's the quickest way to the bag is to, tear down another brother or sister, to utilize their media platforms to basically sling mud, air out dirty laundry, and create an atmosphere where they're just like atmosphere where we're just exchanging blows online. And it's like a very lucrative business. Like it's about a $1 billion a year business, I would say. From the gossip coming out of our neighborhoods, it's like everything we do. Every time we argue and bicker online, it's like a media frenzy. Like all these other different media platforms, they just devour it, and they just create this space where they just try to milk it every time we have a falling out or a disagreement. It's like all these content creators they're weighing in on it. They're talking about all these different platforms, and it's just like, basically said all that to say like the destruction of our people is, being incentivized. Like there's a big bag in it for you if you can get two people within our community that have polarizing platforms to take shots at each other publicly online. So I definitely want to discourage against that. And so this is not the place for that. And just know if I ever say a famous person's name, it's never to clout chase. It's never to, join in or try to manipulate the algorithm on my end. This is just, I'm unpacking it, whatever's going on in our community from our perspective. Like, and the perspective that I try to cover it from on my platform is the why perspective. So of course we have issues within our community we need to work on. Yes, we have a high crime rate. Yes, we have, messiness and just all kinds of in-house stuff we need to work on as a people. But, we're not any worse than anybody else's community. That's just the powers that be. It's using the media to make it seem like we're worse than everybody. That's, their attempt to deflect away from the systemic thing that the whatever issue we got with each other is taking place anyway. Because we've been programmed and conditioned, by the powers that be to behave the way we behave. So while we do need to take accountability for our actions, we shouldn't always be so quick to volunteer to say we need to do better, when, we're the people that's literally had everything done to us. Like anything you can do to a people has been done to us, and there's nobody on the planet that suffered worse than us. Nobody, under any regime, under, any leadership, dictatorship, governments, there's nobody that's, suffered the way our people have suffered all over the world, especially here in America. Like, nobody. We've had our history erased. We got to, go back and find stuff. Like, they just try not to give us credit for anything. But that's the perspective of how I try to unpack, anything that's going on in current news. Because like the old saying goes, you better tell your own story or your story will get told for you. And that's precisely what history is doing, is telling our story for us. Not how it actually happened, just from their perspective, like what makes them feel comfortable. I think I got all the nuances of the Narrative podcast, out of the way. If you're still unfamiliar with my content, like I'm over 300 episodes in, so if I've missed anything, you can just have yourself a listening matinee and catch yourself up to speed with what it is I do here. But without any further ado, I'm going to dive into the content this evening here on the Narrative podcast. So starting with my first section, this is a weekday edition of the Narrative podcast, and what I tend to do during the weekday is share positive news articles. Why do I share the positive news articles coming out of our community? To stay true to my mission statement, which is to provide and promote positive self-images of us. How do I do that? By sharing news articles that show us in a positive light. That's how I change the narrative, like that. Show us elevating, showing us being leaders, showcasing and highlighting excellence, community activism and involvement, creatively problem solving, triumphing in the face of adversity. These are the types of references that I want to provide the listening audience with. And the reason why I do that, because like I said, the media is ran by this, horrible, wicked entity, and all they do is just bombard us with negativity. They just always show us going to jail, always show us fighting each other. You don't ever hear anything positive coming out of our community. Us standing up for a cause, us creatively solving our own problems, taking care of ourselves, taking care of our communities. They just always want to show us being messy. So what I'm doing with the articles is just showing you that, yes, we can make it out. Yes, we can impact our communities. And yes, we can live positive, productive lives. That's why I share positive news articles during the weekday. So now that you know why I do that, first news article this week here on the Narrative Podcast. The headline reads, actress Melinda Williams launches HBCU coding boot camp for women. And the name of the program is called the STEAM project and esteem is an acronym which stands for entrepreneurship, science, technology, engineering, and math. So basically, it's like STEM. The initiative was developed through another nonprofit organization that the actress supports called Arise and Shine Foundation. And what they do is equip women that attend HBCUs with essential coding and tech skills. So basically, it's a program with the incentive of diversity and inclusion to get sisters in on the inside track to that, that profession that's male-dominated still after all these years. STEM is still pretty much male-dominated. To get them on the inside of track to become computer programmers, architects, and engineers. That's what that program is all about. And if you would like to learn more about it, just go to ariseandShineFoundation.com, and you can pretty much read everything that they got going on, all their projects, all their activities they have planned, and all their sponsors. You'll be able to see that on their website. So I want to give our sister Melinda Williams a Warm Narrative podcast round of applause. And let me just, kind of go off-putting. I just want to say I have never, all in her, years of her being in Hollywood, I've never seen her in a whack movie or a whack television show. Everything that she has lent her talent to is, a cult classic. Every movie and television show that she's been in, all since she's been in Hollywood, has been a cult classic. Like, it might not have won no Grammys or Emmys or whatever, but it wasn't boring. I've never seen her in a project that was boring. Like, especially the characters that she portrays in movies. You will really, really love her character, or you will really, really despise her character. But whatever character she portrays in a movie or a television show is like 1,000,000% believable, 1,000,000% practical. Like, you can close your eyes and just imagine somebody like that actually exists. Like, whether it's, whether she's playing somebody that you like or whether she's playing somebody not likable. But I just wanted to just point out, her range in acting, and like, that's just a rarity that somebody in that field has never, been in a project that was whack. Like, everything she's performed in, she knocked out the part. Like, the movie might not have been all that, but whatever she played, she brought some type of nuance to it. Like, whatever character she portrayed brought a nuance to it and made it watchable. But I'm gonna give our sister and ariseandShineFoundation.com and the Esteem Project a Warm Narrative podcast round of applause. All right. So next article here on the Narrative Podcast, weekday edition, the headline reads, Black woman trained by her dad to be a carpenter now owns a fast-growing design shop. The sister's name, she is of Nigerian descent. So if I get the name wrong, I apologize in advance. She has her own furniture company called Nama's Decor. The sister's name is Adzzibi Nana Ana. Adzibinana. That's her name. We're going to just call her Nana. But she established it in 2016. So like the headline of the article says, she is self-taught. Her father built, furniture from scratch. She grew up in Ghana, of course, low income. Well, I'm not going to say of course, because everybody in Africa is not like underclass. There's a whole lot of wealthy people in Africa. So I don't want to perpetuate that negative stereotype. But her story is, she grew up low income. Her father had to make furniture from scratch to furnish their home, and she picked it up. She would, help her father assemble furniture for them to sit on and stuff. And I think he developed to a side business. It wasn't his main job, but he also would create and sell furniture on the side. And so basically she carried his tradition and wanted to do that full time when she grew up, because she enjoyed creating furniture. So in 2016, she started her own furniture shop. And if you want to know more about it, you can visit her website on namasdecor.wordpress.com. They specialize in wallpapers, 3D bedding, 3D plan and architecture, and home and office decor, and much more. So go ahead over to that website, see if it's something you like. Hit the sister up. Want to give our sister Nana a warm Narrative podcast round of applause for Nana's decor, not daycare, decor. All right, moving right along. Last article for this evening here on the Narrative Podcast. The headline reads, "First Black person ever to teach 100,000 Black and brown kids how to play chess." And the brother's name is Orrin Hudson. Orrin Hudson was formerly a police officer, a state trooper to be exact, and he also was once he's also a veteran. He also served in the United States Air Force for a brief time, and he basically developed this initiative to work with children from our community to enhance their cognitive skills. The sport of chess does just that. It teaches them how to creatively problem solve. So if you ever played chess or know somebody that plays chess, you know the game of chess is where you're anticipating your opponent's next move. I don't know about you all, but do you guys remember the movie, the early 90s movie Fresh, featuring Samuel L. Jackson? That's basically like, what his program is bringing to the table, teaching the youth how to anticipate, whatever life throws at them, 4 and 5 moves ahead in advance. They teach them coping skills, and basically, that's his philosophy about life is a checkerboard. He's also a motivational speaker. His internet handle is Orion Checkmate Hudson, motivational speaker, master strategist, 949 Stevenson Road, Stone Mountain, Georgia, 30087, telephone number 770-465-6445. The name of the organization that he's teaching the youth is called Be Someone. And if you want to find more about, the types of principles he instills in the youth, using his checkerboard strategy, or philosophy, not strategy, his checkerboard philosophy, go to besomeone.org. He also has volunteer and donation opportunities available as well on that website. He is a motivational speaker. He does TED Talks, and he's also an author. He's written a book, #1 on Amazon's reading list, One Move at a Time. So go check that out. Support that brother and support our youth. Support the besomeone.org program, and join me into giving this brother a warm narrative podcast round of applause for besomeone.org. All right, moving right along, next section of the Narrator podcast. This section normally would not be here, but, the entire month of February was Black History Month. And as we all know, February is the shortest month of the year. So I wanted to continue, Black History Month here on the Narrator podcast. I wanted to extend that out to the first week of March. So I got another Black History fact, a couple of Black History facts for you in the Black History Facts section of the Narrator podcast. And then I believe over the weekend, if you join me this weekend for a full edition of the Narrator podcast, I will be delivering the last Black History fact section for, the month of March, and then we can start up the game if I'm still podcasting next year all over again. But next week will be my last, or this weekend will be my last Black History fact. But without any further ado, I'm going to dive right into it. Going to be talking about the life and times of a one Miss Bibby, or Bridget Mason. So Bibby Mason, she was born Bridget Mason in 1818 in Hancock County, Georgia. Of course, she was born into slavery. And her story is unique because she actually sued her former slave master and basically purchased her freedom, as well as her family that she left behind on the plantation, and then ended up, creating her basically own township in California. So, her story is pretty epic. I'm going to try to give you the condensed version, so just bear with me. All right, so like I said, she was born in 1818 in Hancock County, Georgia. She was separated from her parents and sold several times before she was given away as a gift to a guy named Robert Smith. He was a wedding gift to her. So you see how they did us back then. We wasn't like human beings. We was just like objects. Like even livestock was higher on the totem pole than we was. But she got given away as a gift to a guy by the name of Robert Smith. He became her concubine. He was gifted to her by Robert's uncle. And then after that, she moved from Georgia to Mississippi. And then, of course, here comes the colonization. So as, you know, she's married to this, betrothed to this Caucasian slave master, she had to, you know, get indoctrinated into his belief system, which was Christianity. And, you know, they were Mormons. So you already know the job Mormons did on our people, like, as far as religiously speaking, of course. But it goes on to say there were proud members of the Church of Latter-day Saints. Now, the one thing the Church of Mormons did do right is they encouraged their members to free their slaves. And, of course, Robert, he wasn't having none of it. So they left Mississippi and moved to Salt Lake City, Utah. And basically, she had to walk the whole way. He didn't even allow her to ride in the stagecoach with him. She had to walk 1,700 miles behind a wagon. She was also a midwife, tended for cattle, and then, of course, took care of her own children that she had by Robert. It took 7 months to get to Utah. And then from Utah, then they moved again to California, to San Bernardino. Then finally, he decided to move to Texas and sell his slaves. So it wasn't until she came across this guy named Charles Owens, who was dating her daughter, that kind of put a bug in her ear and said, hey, you know, you can write the courts for your freedom, petition the court for your freedom. And that's exactly what she did. Now, so when she wrote for the courts, old Robert wasn't having none of it. He said, you know, all his slaves are members of his family and didn't qualify to become free citizens. So the courts took note of that, and I'm giving you guys a streamlined version. Basically, longer story short, they freed Bibi and all of her children. So after her release, she found work as a midwife and an herbalist. So she made medicine and got work being a midwife. She made about a little over $3 a day. She built a house for herself with her scrimpings. And then she rented out a house and bought another one. And then she kind of kept doing that over the course of the next 18 years. She bought more land on the outskirts of LA, which soon became prime real estate. Her wealth grew over time to nearly $300,000, and then later on to $3 million. And she used that money on charitable organizations that enabled and supported her extended family. So, word spread about all she was doing, and then more people from our community started supporting her. And then gradually over time, she became the wealthiest woman in Los Angeles. She made certain her children were educated, even though she could only sign documents with an X, so she didn't even have any formal education. She founded the first all-black Methodist Episcopal Church in Los Angeles, California, the first black church in Los Angeles. She donated the land to the church, which is now the site for Bibi Mason Park and City Park down in downtown Los Angeles. So I tried to give you the streamlined version, but I just didn't want to make sure I wasn't missing out on anything. And then the next brother is an inventor, a brother named by the name of Granville T. Woods. He was born on April 23rd, 1865. He invented like a whole bunch of stuff, including his top inventions was the roller coaster, streetcars, trains, air brakes, and then a whole host of more stuff. He had over 500 patents. Multiplex railway system. I'd be like, another 20 minutes just talking about him. So he was born, here in America. It was said he was half Native American, but just like I told y'all, we was the original indigenous people to this land, so like what half? But go ahead. In Columbus, Ohio, they had to leave because they couldn't survive in Ohio because they was just too poor. He served as an apprenticeship in a machine shop, and then also, he did a little bit of blacksmith work. And I already told you the inventions. Electric rail system, the safety circuit, the telegraph, the telephone, the phonograph. Yeah, Alexander Graham Bell did not invent the telephone, if y'all didn't know. Well, it was more like, I scratched that. My bad. So basically, what what it was like the precursor to the those office phones. It was like a combination of the telegraph and the telephone. So it basically like the precursor to the speakerphone. And like I said, he had over 300 patents, so he was a world-class inventor. But his top things that he invented was like the roller coaster, the telegraphony. It sounds weird to say that, but the little device where they like tap out. He invented Morse code. So like his inventions are extensive, to say the least. So many things. Air brakes, and just the list goes on. Like, you have to do your own Googles, because like I said, I try to keep my platform under an hour, and like I'd be another like 15, 20 minutes to try to run down his entire resume of every single thing that this brother invented. But if you don't know, do yourself a huge, tremendous favor and research Granville T. Woods. And so that's it, and that's all for the Black History section here on the Narrative Podcast. And moving right on along. Well, let's clap it up, though, because that's some amazing history. And so, like I said, I just gave you guys a streamlined version. Like, both of those stories are way more extensive, way more in depth. But yeah. So, last section here on the Narrative Podcast before leaving you guys to enjoy the rest of your evening. Is my current events section. In this section, I'm just talking about current events either happening all over the world or something within our community. And like I said, the purpose of delivering commentary is to basically control the narrative, to tell our own stories, because the media go out of their way to have us looking and sounding crazy. So if you don't tell your own story will be told for you. And so that's the purpose of me doing, commentary about, whatever's happening in the world. I gotta say, nothing really stands out this week. There's nothing super mega going on. Nothing we should be any alarmed that, nothing that requires an immediate sense of urgency. But I got a couple things I do want to kind of graze over. First of all, the CDC has now declared that when you catch that thing, you no longer are required by law to isolate yourself for a week. And the reason why I'm talking about that, because I think, this is just me, I think that's a form of population control because, as you know, when it first hit, the unalived toll went through the roof. So many people was unalived all over the world, all over, here in America and abroad. When that little rule was in place, I believe it helped it get from being, because the numbers was astronomical anyway. I believe it helped the numbers not as soar as high as they could have got. So now they're saying if you come down with symptoms of that thing and you go to your 9-to-5 job, you can pretty much come back to work as soon as you feel better. So basically you can infect everybody around you. At your job, they're going to infect people. They're going to infect customers. That you got it. And just everybody's going to be catching it. So they're basically saying because we got these little jab things, what more do you want us to do? We got a jab for every variant of it now, which they had in the beginning anyway. But I don't believe in jabs. I'm not a doctor, but, just factoring in common sense, like your blood cells already eradicate foreign invaders. So if you take a jab, that's hustling backwards. You injecting the illness into your body. Like your immune system, your autoimmune function, because there really ain't no such as an autoimmune system. Your body performs autoimmune functions. But anyway, it's going to handle it anyway. But you're going to shoot it right into your body and introduce a foreign something, whatever. But to each their own. If you believe in the jab, go ahead and take you a jab. But, I just think that's super weird that now they're lifting the ban of not isolating yourself or quarantining yourself once you've contracted that thing. And of course, they lift that ban as we're nearing into, the new election term. And so if you remember last election term, we had that thing. We had a civil unrest. We had scarcity. We was running out of stuff. We was running out of certain types of food. We was running out of water. We was running out of toilet paper. Wasn't running out of it. People was just stockpiling it, creating scarcity by just stockpiling it. But I said all that to say I see the patterns repeating themselves. So nature was going wild. We had the murder hornets, brush fires, and all these natural disasters, that thing. And so now the new caveat, the new thing in the mix, in addition to all that, is the invaders from outer space. That was my dramatic effect. Or what do y'all want? Do y'all want to hear this conspiracy theory effect? But yeah, now they're trying to bombard us with all this extraterrestrial activity, like I personally feel it's a distraction to, deflect what's going on right here in the nation, which is basically like they're trying to unalive people with that thing by, lifting the ban of how long you have to keep yourself isolated from other people when you know you have it. Then also, they're just trying to stir the pot. I don't know why people say, a conspiracy when you're just thinking critically. When did it become a conspiracy to think critically? So if you're observant and you notice trends repeating, like why is that a conspiracy theory to just prepare yourself for something that's already happened? Like we already went through this, but now they're trying to throw the extraterrestrial thing into the mix. But, we got aliens from the stars, and now we're getting aliens from different countries as well. Because now the migrant thing is soaring out of control. Because now these migrants from different nationalities are coming to our waters in droves. They're giving away all this money that should be the American people's. Should definitely be the original people of America, the ones that built it, our people. But they're giving away, all our resources to all these migrants coming over here. And most of the migrants are causing problems with law enforcement, causing problems within our community, messing with us. But they're doing that, the Democratic Party, that's just a ploy to bolster their constituency. They want all these people to get their citizenship, and that, then, they will feel like they have to repay a debt of honor and stay loyal to the Democratic Party. Then also to fight for our military, because, military numbers have been dropping for years because the American people are starting to wake up, and they're the enlistment numbers are dropping. Ain't nobody joining the military no more. That's not, a prestigious thing anymore. Because now, people are waking up and saying, hey, we're committing genocide in all these different countries, and I'm not going to be a part of it. And so what do you do to counter that? You get people from third world countries that would do anything to be a U.S. citizen. So that's all I want to touch on. So like I said, there's nothing too out there that I really feel requires commentary on. I do want to address something that happened a while ago. So we witnessed, about a week ago, Cam Newton getting attacked at an event, a football game, by the youth in attendance. So it was a youth-sponsored event, and he was using his celebrity influence to, bring attention to that particular nonprofit organization, and, could have potentially bought more sponsorship and mentored some children. And the reason why I'm bringing it up, because, it's sparking some unhealthy conversations within our community still, even though it happened so long ago. And one of the conversations that was being sparked, people saying he should have took his belt off and whooped them damn kids' ass, and something, excuse my language, but something I always say on my platform: are we spanking our children, or are we beating our children? You see, because we come, that mentality that we're coming from slaves, how that still, like, that residual effect comes into our family structure, because there's disciplining them and then there's beating them. And a lot of us are beating our children. And so what happened at that situation, so many red flags on the field, I almost don't even know where to start. Because first of all, Cam Newton, he's over 6 feet tall, over 200 pounds, all muscle. So, and his bodyguards are like 2 and 3 inches bigger than him. So how are these young men running up on him to do anything? That's first and foremost. And he need to, I hope he done fired by now. He done fired every single last one of them. Because they shouldn't have, because he did get stole off on by one of them. Gave him a little jaw shot. But, it's unfortunate on so many levels, because he was using his presence to bring awareness and bring resources to an area in the community that needed it. So I really hate the term underserved, because that's like, it's become a code word for our people, like the underserved community. It just sounds so dirty. Like, I liked it in the 90s when they called it urban community. That didn't hurt so bad. Can we say urban community again instead of underserved community? Because underserved just sounds like a lost cause. Like, urban is like less, offensive, because everywhere is urban. You got urban and you got rural. And not too many of us live in the rural areas of the United States. Unless you living in a place that's all rural, there is no urban, but I don't know, I don't like the term underserved. But anyway, that's what his nonprofit organization that he was using his presence for, was to help the underserved area of that part of North Carolina. And again, the reason why I'm bringing it up, because everybody is just saying he should have just went berserk and like, I believe the brother behaved amicably, and he restrained himself and exerted and exuded emotional intelligence. Because like I said, like Cam Newton, he's cock diesel. They punches didn't hurt. That was mosquito bites. Like, mosquito. You feel something out here, bro? But to the young men that did, it's not entirely their fault. You see, because we've been programmed and conditioned to behave negatively, especially at a positive venue. Because, the powers that be, the way they've manipulated this media, we want attention. We want the views. We want to go viral by any means necessary. And so what is the quickest way to go viral? Unfortunately, it's a random act of violence. You'll get all kinds of clicks and views if you just randomly ran up on somebody with your phone and posted the content somewhere, assaulting somebody. You would you'd be rolling in views. So I don't know what them young men's mental state was. Was they having a bad day? I don't know. But I do know what most likely was a factor that nobody's talking about is, with this social media and how it's marketed towards our community. It's marketed from the perspective of you will go viral if you engage in something negative. So for the fellas, it's usually selling drugs, posting drug paraphernalia like a table full of weed or other substances, like either selling it or using it, or some type of criminal activity, content where you got a firearm and you're flashing your firearm. That is guaranteed views. Or gang culture where you're just a group of y'all, somebody got the phone out and they jump somebody. They jump an unsuspecting victim. And that automatically goes viral. So, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what was going through their mind because, they picked the wrong one because Cam Newton, he's cock D and he can run fast. So, if he wanted to, he could have caught every last one of them. Light work. Light work for a dude like that. But I'm glad we kind of moved forward, and I hope that particular situation doesn't sour that brother on trying to reach out to the community. Myself, personally, I think it was staged to do just that, to discourage him from trying to use his resources to help the community. Because, that's one of them instances. See, this is why celebrities don't help nobody. This is why they get their money, they move out the hood, and they go get them a white girl. It's because of that. And I think they wanted to really promote that imagery. You can't be nice to our people. The more nice you try to be to us, the worse we act. But I'm glad we are over that little hump, but I just want to bring in that perspective of we need to quit always be the go-to. Let's just beat the life out of them, not establish a dialogue to see what happened, or talk to our youth, or, be the voice of reason. Just automatically, we got to come with the gun. We got to come with a belt or whatever we can get our hands on, because our youth are just, they're a lost cause and they don't deserve to be saved. Now, you do have the right to defend yourself. I got to say, handled it better than I would have handled it. But I'm just saying, like, on the surface, how that came across, it seemed like real clout chaser-ish, like they had something instinctively on their mind. I don't believe it was just something that happened in the moment. I think they was just like really, toying with that for a while. Because that's kind of why we do anything these days. The social media is like, there's no more consequence because it's a win-win. So I'm going to get my phone. I'm going to go commit a crime. I'm going to post it. And worst case scenario, I go to jail. But all the views, all the hits I'm going to go get. And then nowadays, once you're incarcerated, they still let you, have a social media account. And they, the inmates, they find ways to post content and get money while incarcerated. So there ain't no, there's no repercussion for doing something wrong. Like you're going to even Stevens out. Because if you get, incarcerated doing something, you get your side of the story. Everybody's going to want to hear your side of the story. You're going to get asked on talk shows, podcasts. People are going to be calling in or having want to Zoom you for a podcast to tell your side of the story. You get to write a book, merch. So there's no consequence for doing nothing wrong now. But like I said, I didn't like how that played out on the surface. It just, everybody, what I didn't like was the way everybody was chiming in. There's always another way, and everything happens for a reason. Thank goodness it happened to Cam. I'm not glad that it happened, period. I'm glad it happened with an individual with a level head, because if he was a hot-tempered individual, it would have ended so badly. But Cam Newton, he's disciplined, and it could have been a lot worse than what it was if he didn't have no restraint, discipline, and self-control. So he's a disciplined athlete, and if he would have cut all the way loose, it would have ended horrible. Well, that's it and that's all for this episode of the Narrator Podcast. Join me this weekend for another full edition of the Narrator Podcast, wherever you get your podcast information from. Newsflash. So the Passion Webmail, that's the reason why I haven't been advertising my contest that I'm running for my podcast, because I got to get another email address because the domain that it was sitting on has expired. And quite frankly, I'm not trying to renew it because there's the only reason why I even use that site is to post content from my podcast and my poetry blog, and there's all kind of free platforms to do that. So I just did it for a couple years. It helped get me some views, but the downloads I've been getting, it's nothing too crazy. I honestly think, if I just take my time and market myself a whole lot better on free platforms, because it's, like I said, the domain's over on WordPress, and for what I do, the content that I distribute in my listening audience, I don't think I need it. It's not really like giving me astronomical numbers, so I'm gonna have to just get me a free website, or not a free website, but a free email, and then I'll start advertising my contest again. But yeah, so if you've been trying to reach me at Passion Webmail for the Chew On This contest, it doesn't exist anymore. That domain expired, and I really don't have no immediate intention on revitalizing it. So yeah, because it was all kind of free platforms. I probably should have already had an additional one anyway, just in case that happened. But I just feel like I'm paying for a service that I don't actually use, because a few people hit me up through it. But like I said, no astronomical numbers, So I'm just saying, I don't even know why I got it. That's where I'm going with that. I just don't even know why I got it. So it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to renew the domain just for the free email address that comes with it, when you can just have a free one, post on another free platform and get yourself a free business email address. So that's what I think I'm going to do. I'm going to shop around this weekend and try to get me a free business email. And then I'll start posting my Chew On This contest again. And, give you guys a way to communicate directly with me for my podcast, the Narrative Podcast. But yeah, join me this weekend for a full episode of the Narrative Podcast, wherever you get your podcast information from. Download this episode and our previously recorded episodes of the Narrative Podcast. Also, I've written a book on poetizer.com. Poetizer.com has a virtual online bookstore. So it's basically like a community for people that write, and poetry, obviously, but people that write short stories as well, composition and all that. People that like to write, that's like a social community. And what it is like they had a feature that turns your posts into like books, and so that's what I did. I turned my post into a book. I titled it The Black Card, and it's available on poetizer.com in their virtual online bookstore. So go get that. What the Black Card is basically a all-comprehensive snapshot about our people and our culture. It's an all-encompassing look at our people. It's an all-encompassing look at our entire culture. Everything we go through, positive and negative, just all the nuances about our people and our culture. I got a poem to reflect it. The book consists of 30 poems in all, but they're all unique and definitive. So do yourself a huge favor and go check out that book, The Black Card. The Black Card will make an excellent coffee table read or gift or travel book or a relaxing book, in the tub or wherever you like to relax at, in your home or wherever you're staying. Go check it out. Go get the Black Card. The Black Card is like basically a survival guide to our culture. So, go copy you a copy of the Black Card or get your Black Card revoked. I also have a poetry blog called hallziespoetrycorner. It's on blogger.com, and the address is www.mrhallziesblogs.com. Now, my poems on Hallzies Poetry Corner is just poems that I spontaneously write in the moment. I don't contemplate on anything that I write on that site. I just do it, on the spur of the moment. But the poems featured on there are so eloquent, and you would think that I sat down with a pen and paper and, wrote them out like that before posting it. But nope, straight up and down. It's just like, it's basically like a little freestyle. I don't write, I don't pre-write any of the poems posted on Hallzies Poetry Corner. That's why if you notice them, a lot of them are chock full of grammatical errors, but grammatical errors aside, it's very creative, very innovative, and you'll definitely find a poem that you can relate to over various subjects. So do yourself a tremendous favor and go check out my poems featured on Hallzies Poetry Corner on blogger.com at www.mrhallziesblogs.com. And my tagline for Hallzies Poetry Corner is Hallzies Poetry Corner, poetry with a passion, poetry for all occasions. And when you read one of my poems, you will find out why. It's just like I got a poem for every single, mood you can possibly go through, every type of emotion, every type of subject matter you can think of. I got a poem to accommodate that on Hallzies Poetry Corner. I haven't written any new entries in quite a while. I'm going to start back, uploading new poems, but, I just write poems in the spur of the moment, that's why I put on my blog, I don't write poetry, the poems write themselves, and just God beams them into my head. Like, that's the only way I can describe my art form. It's like I'm not even responsible for what you're reading. Like, whatever you're reading, that was at that time the furthest thought from my mind. But anyway, go check those poems out. And the best way to support my poetry blog is to share poems featured on Hallzies Poetry blog, or share the link to Hallzies Poetry Corner blog across all platforms. So whatever you're active on, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, WordPress, Pinterest, whatever you like to post stuff on, share the link to Hallzies Poetry Corner or a poem featured on Hallzies Poetry Corner across all platforms. Now for the visual platforms like Instagram and YouTube, you might just have to, shout out the link or a poem that you read that you like on Hallzies Poetry Corner to let the, your viewers know, like that, like endorsement. But other than that, just post a link or a poem featured on Hallzies Poetry Corner on all platforms. And that'll wrap this episode of the Narrative Podcast up. Check me out this weekend for a full episode of the Narrative Podcast. Just bear in mind, I usually broadcast 2 times a week, once during the weekday and once on the weekend. My 2 formats for the between the weekday and the weekend episode kind of vary. I have more sections on my weekend episode versus the weekday. Now, when I used to do my weekday episodes, I used to go live. But this platform that I'm on has removed the live feature. So it's just already pre-recorded, but the best way to ensure that you don't miss a weekday episode of the Narrative Podcast is to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and that's Halsey Allen on YouTube. So click that subscription button and the notification bell, and you'll always be notified every time I upload during the weekday. And then also follow me on X, formerly known as Twitter, because as I said, after I'm done broadcasting, it automatically uploads to YouTube and X. So if you always want a up-to-date episode of the Narrative Podcast to be notified of, when I'm dropping a new episode of the Narrative Podcast, follow me on YouTube and follow me on X. I think I covered all the basics. So yeah, that's it and that's all. Check me out this weekend for a full episode of the Narrative Podcast. And it's a wrap. Join me this weekend for another full episode of the Narrative Podcast family. I'm Halsey Allen. I'm changing the narrative one episode at a time. I'm asking you to join my cause by becoming a narrator. And while I'm changing the narrative one episode at a time, you can change the narrative one social media post at a time. Until next time, Halsey Allen and the Narrative Podcast signing off. And it's like that.
Listening to the Narrative Podcast with Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is changing the narrative one episode at a time.